More than once in this series of films, I've said that Rome wasn't built in a day. And that's true. But when I'm training team members, I'm often urging urgency, as if Rome can and must be built in a day. You have to aim high, to go for gold. Expectation isn't for wimps. There's a lot to do. To develop, to unlock and unfold your human potential, you have to be able to learn. Yes, I know that might not sound as mysterious or sexy as directing you towards practicing meditation, but it's the reality. Education works, even if it has boring associations with being back at school. In earlier films, I made reference to error-focused learning, saying this was the quickest way to learn. And it is. The idea is simple. You push yourself to be the best you can be. By being at the upper extent of what you're capable of doing, you'll be establishing good habits. But you'll also sometimes be failing, messing up, as you teeter on the edge between knowing and not knowing. And when you do mess up, perhaps even falling flat on your face, it's an opportunity to learn. So you grasp it. Everything, any and every situation, is a signpost to freedom, to excellence. It's the opposite of making excuses. You now see that deflection is dumb, getting you nowhere. And there's no room for wallowing in embarrassment or shame when mistakes occur. Definitely apologise as appropriate, but then focus on doing what you should have done in the first place. Learn and deliver. This won't happen easily because of existing habit getting in the way. Not least the complex avoidance syndrome of defensiveness that you've built up. You'll need to get good at self-assessment, with no hiding. If you want to move forwards, you have to expose the loose ends, your weak points. What you self-honestly lay bare will reveal the areas to work on and thereby improve. It's a process of unveiling what holds you back, often revealing what you previously, but mistakenly, thought best to avoid. Once you get the knack of being self-honest, you'll realise that fooling yourself achieves nothing worthwhile, merely keeping you stuck. In fact, the ability to be self-critical and to take constructive criticism from others is a clear indicator that you might be starting to reach a better level of psychological health. Self-assessment will only work if you're willing to be brutally honest with yourself. The first step in changing reality is to face it. There will be self-deception, even when you're doing your best and being tough on yourself. Changing has to be seen as a process of stripping away the multiple layers of avoidance and ignorance, revealing what remains. Your current starting point will therefore keep moving as you progress upwards. Start thinking of defensiveness or self-protection as selfishness protection. Your entire paradigm is dependent upon avoidance. How you think, feel, understand and act is determined by this urge to safeguard, shield and preserve your view of yourself. Unfortunately, you view it as a matter of psychological safety and survival. This perspective helps by clarifying and simplifying the situation. A lot of behaviour boils down to selfishness protection, and it's helpful to label various aspects of what you do as such. Never forget that your ultimate aim is to shift from one paradigm to another, selfishness to non-selfishness. Remember what I've previously said about the safe zone and the fear zone. Complacency will hold you back, reducing or stopping learning from happening. Likewise, excessive anxiety will cripple any aspirations for change. You need to be bold, going beyond the comfort of staying within the safe zone, but not getting too fearful that you'll be paralysed. Once you've got used to functioning in the learning zone, you can then look to maximising opportunities. Aim increasingly higher and don't be scared to make mistakes. In saying this, I'm not encouraging sloppiness or failure for the sake of it. That's not the point. But when you're functioning in the upper reaches of what you're currently capable of, trying to go a bit further, you will make errors. And when you do, examine what went wrong using inquiry. Then, on your next attempt, apply the adjustments you've seen are necessary. You'll develop faster, better, when using error-focused learning. It's a process, not a one-off event. You continuously improve. Contrary to popular opinion, talent isn't something you're born with. The same is true of wider capability. Yes, being lucky to have had good parental influence is initially helpful, but probably only a bit, as everyone gets fucked up. It's effectively a lottery because we don't get to choose our parents, and it ultimately doesn't matter anyway because we can learn anew at any point. What does lead to talent or capability is lots and lots of hard work. It's practice, practice, practice. And deliberate practice is much better than mere ordinary practice. This is where you're purposely making a series of intentional modifications, including learning from those instances when you've got something wrong. We think of consciousness not as an off-on switch, but instead being like a dimmer switch. Usually, most people, most of the time, have only turned the dimmer switch up to zombie level, or perhaps a bit further. But you can actually adjust it a lot more. It can be significantly brighter and better focused. We keep going on about the need for hard work and never giving up. Well, research has shown that you need to put in approximately 10,000 hours of deliberate practice to really master a particular skill. It's unrelenting progress, step after step after step. You genuinely push to be the best you can be, which constantly changes in the form of an upward curve as you get better and better. Again, what I'm describing is a process, achieved by applying the 16 primary or key factors which produce capability. Continuous improvement is the obvious way of thinking about it. But if you're big and brave enough to do so, you can also see it as being continually dissatisfied. There's no room for complacency or settling for second best. It's excellence only, which includes sorting out the shit. You give mental limitations and emotional dysfunction the finger. It's reversing the early conditioning of "they fucked you up, your mum and dad." Individuals usually do this error-focused learning just to become exceptionally good at playing a musical instrument or swinging a tennis racket or golf club. This is a very limited focus, though still requiring one hell of a lot of dedication. We're urging such improvement throughout all of your life, with the aim of fundamental change and making the world a better place. A massive undertaking by comparison. Although ours is a much bigger and broader task, the principles of continuous improvement and error-focused learning remain the same. What changes is the breadth of application. The need for capability is significantly widened. Research has shown that a top-notch coach is needed to pull the very best out of you. Such a coach already knows what's what and can see exactly where you're at, as well as what you need to specifically learn next. Feedback is crucial, preferably the type that's immediate and frequent. I'll return to this subject in the final film. The result of error-focused learning is increased perception and greater understanding, better practical application, and therefore in-depth expertise. More detail and patterns of connection are noticed, things which are normally overlooked by most people. Responsiveness is significantly improved. Error-focused learning is usually thought of in terms of individual pursuit, but it can also be employed for enhancing team achievement. However, there are additional complications. As an individual, you want to fit in, be accepted and liked. Where there's competitiveness within your own team, self-doubt can be magnified if you're not the absolute best at something. You can cheat a bit, hide, sit back, sometimes taking it a bit easier, relying on others to do well. The benchmark for what's best can easily be blurred, lowered. while still remaining well above average. Our old team fell into this trap. We achieved outstanding things together as an organisation through collective effort. But most of the individuals still fell short of the deepest aim, failing to fully take personal responsibility. Victoria, who made 2 brief appearances as a zombie in an earlier film, the goddess of precipitation in Rain Dance, has described how people's limitations still persisted at a higher or more subtle level, despite obvious commitment and project success. What she said is in one of our books, Avoidance Doesn't Work, so I won't go into further details here. Although I will add that since then, she's broken through the 80% barrier. Neuroscience provides a clear explanation of how deliberate practice and error-focused learning shape our brains. Sophisticated neural pathways are created, consisting of myelin-coated neurons that effectively build a route to success. Multiple layers of myelin are built up as we practice, enabling better bandwidth and improved performance. It's really important to keep moving forwards. Build momentum and don't look back. Be at the top of your game. Take control, adopting the approach of bring it on, I want to know. Imagine you're floating in space, imprisoned by a wall of bricks on all sides. You'll only be free once you've knocked out every last one of these bricks, which are keeping you trapped. But there's a problem. As soon as you ease off, any bricks you've already pushed away somehow come floating back into place. So consistent effort is required. We've come up with a new name for the normal type of learning. We call it irresolute learning. The learner is selective about what's on offer or being learnt, picky, inconsistent, on and off. Sometimes there's eagerness, but at other times there's reluctance. Virtually all learning falls within this categorisation. The resolve for anything better simply isn't there. We've coined a second term for a much better way of learning: necessity learning. This deeper approach differs through a noticeable change in perception. Learning is now seen as being absolutely needed, necessary. Any hesitation or reluctance is banished. The motivation to learn is fully switched on, with your mind wide open and sharply focused. There's single-mindedness, a steadfast resolve to improve, an unwavering determination. A series of mini breakthroughs can be expected along the path of changing. Mostly, however, progress is almost imperceptible, occurring as lots and lots of incremental gains. These all add up. It's not just about remembering and applying what you already know. You also have to find out what you don't know yet. Look for absences, small gaps or gaping holes, indicators of what you're not doing. Think in terms of a coherent whole, interconnectedness. If the aim is to be the best you can be, you're confronted with 2 fundamentally bad mistakes: not starting and not going all the way. In the spirit of KISS, keep it super simple. Something's either worth going for or it's not. The ultimate choice is basic: selfishness or non-selfishness. And one of these 2 options is 1,000,000 times better than the other. Okay, that's it for now. We've got another important topic up next: letting go. I'll see you again soon.